Hey all, my name is Paul Borosky and I am the owner of Quality Business Plan, and what I'd like to do today is to introduce you all to my beginner's guide to financial analysis for Netflix 2021. So the way the video is going to play out is first and foremost going to go ahead and give you a little bit of background about me, who I am, what I do, and why I do it. And then after that, we'll then dive into my Netflix 2021 beginner's guide to financial analysis. I'll show you the three sections that the beginner's guide is broken into, and I'll briefly introduce you all to each one of the sections, show you the structure, the style. And if y'all are interested, at the end of the video, I'll also provide y'all with a link to purchase my Netflix Beginner's Guide to Financial Analysis for 2021. And also, just a hint, that link is right here to buy the guide. But let me go ahead and introduce y'all to the guide first before we go there. All right, so as promised, let's go ahead and dive right into it. So as promised, a little bit about me. Again, Paul Borosky, doctoral candidate, MBA. Also owner of Quality Business Plan and Quality Business Consultant. I have been writing company financial reports and beginner's guides for the last 5 years. Annually, I'll do about 15 to 25 different company reports and beginner's guides. So I do have significant experience in researching public companies, focused on their 10Ks, specifically their income statements and balance sheets. I am also the author of the Beginner's Guide to Understanding Financial Statements and Financial Ratios. So if you're interested in that book, check me out on Amazon.com. And then finally, I am an adjunct professor and subject matter expert in finance as well as business. So I do have some academics and real-world teaching experience backing up my thoughts and ideas in my beginner's guide as well as my financial reports. All right, enough about me. Let's go ahead and talk about Netflix. Netflix Beginner's Guide, the star of the show, 2021. So the way my beginner's guide is broken up is I break it into 3 different categories, which is the summary income statement, summary balance sheet, and then financial ratios. So let's go ahead and let me introduce you to each one of the sections. All right, so the income statement, the summarized income statement section starts off with, the summarized income statement for Netflix. And I did research Netflix for the last 5 years from 2017 to 2021. And I summarized the revenues, their costs, and their net income and such. And this is the starting point of the summarized income statement section. After the summary income statement, I then go into the important line items such as revenues. And for each one of the important line items, I'm going to go ahead and explain to you what that line item means. I'll define it. I'll give it to you in layman's terms. And then I'll give you some analysis tips as to what to be looking for that particular line item when you're analyzing the income statement. The second section, as I previously said, is the summarized balance sheet. So again, I went out, did a little bit of research into Netflix 10Ks, and I summarized their income or their balance sheet for the last 5 years. And I start off the section with the summary balance sheet, which is right here. Once I'm done with the summary balance sheet, I then go into the important line items, the line items I feel are important. I'll go ahead and explain to you what that line item means. For example, cash. I'll give it to you in other words or in layman's terms, and then I'll give you some analysis tips as to what to look for when analyzing that line item. Now, the third section, the financial ratios, I approach this section a little bit different as compared to the income statement and the balance sheet. So for Netflix financial ratios, I categorize them into 4 categories: liquidity ratios, asset ratios, profitability ratios, and then debt ratios. And then for each one of the categories, I drill down a little bit further. For example, liquidity ratios, I'll go ahead and provide you with 3 or 4 or 5 ratios in that category. And for liquidity, I go over the current ratio, the cash ratio, the quick ratio, and the net working capital. And here are the formulas that I use for each one of the ratios. And then also at the beginning of the each category, I'll give you a summary of the findings for that specific ratio. For example, Netflix current ratio, here is the findings for the current ratio. I then go even further into the financial ratios, and I'll pick important financial ratios in each category, and then I'll go ahead and define that financial ratio for you. I'll introduce you, I'll give you all the formula that I used again, and then I'll give you a definition or an explanation of the financial ratio in layman's terms, and then I'll give you some analysis tips as to what to look for that specific ratio. And then I finally end that my discussion for the specific ratio with the calculations that I used to come up with the findings for that ratio. For example, for current ratio, last 5 years, I used current assets, and here's the current assets that I used divided by current liabilities, and then here are the findings for each one of the ratios for each year for Netflix. All right, so hopefully that information was helpful. So if you all are interested in purchasing my Netflix Beginner's Guide to Financial Analysis, just visit my website right here. And as always, I'll go out and have a great day. Thank you.